come up for you guys after the session from last week where we worked on the spiral line of the body. Everybody felt okay with the whole concept of the spiral line? And everybody, you could feel it when we did all the various rotation movements. We did the different leg positions as well, that we were bringing that spiral line in as well. Okay, cool. So then what we're going to do today is a little bit of a focus on the lateral line and the deep front line, or what is sometimes called the deep midline of the body. So just a little bit of summary for you guys is that the lateral line of the body goes from the outside of the leg, it comes up the side of the ankle and the side of the shin here. It comes over the knee, and there's this thick band of connective tissue here called the iliotibial band. It's going to come up the ITB, and then it kind of comes around the hip like this. So it's gluteus medius. It's this little muscle at the front here called the TFL, which helps us to flex the hip. And then it's also gluteus maximus, because a lot of people think that gluteus maximus, the big bum, is part of the back line. It isn't. Gluteus maximus is part of the side line, the lateral line. And then it comes up the side of the body here, so it's oblique. It comes up the side of the ribs here, so it's going to be intercostal muscles, okay, all the way up. It comes around the shoulder, and then it splits to the front. There's a neck muscle here called the sternocleidomastoid, and then it also comes up to the back of the neck here, a little muscle called the splenius capitis. So you don't have to remember all that, but just visualize the whole sideline of the body is your lateral line. And obviously there's one on the left and one on the right, and we can have an imbalance between the two, either with flexibility or with strength, or what is called elasticity when it comes to fascia. And then those lateral lines also help to find a balance with what's called the deep front line of the body, or the deep midline of the body. And that's essentially your core. I mean, this is what we talk about in Pilates all the time, is your core. It's the inner thigh muscles. These are called the adductors. So it's the inner thigh muscles, and it comes up through the iliopsoas, those are the hip flexor muscles, to the pelvic floor. And then from the pelvic floor, it comes around the internal organs up to the diaphragm. That's your breathing organ. And then it comes up to the deep neck muscles in the throat, called the longus coli. And it also includes these sort of shallow muscles around the neck called the scalene. So if you kind of think about your deep center line, that's a whole line of fascia on its own as well. So those are the two lines that we're going to take a look at today, and we're going to not use any props. So you know that sometimes I do use the ball, we can use foam rollers and all that sort of thing. Today we're not going to use any props, we're just going to connect movement and breath. And the only prop you may need is a towel or a cushion to put underneath your knees if you need any kind of extra padding for your knees. And then otherwise, just make sure that you've got a little bit of space around you for the class. Any questions before we start, guys? Is everyone good? Fantastic. Okay, so I'm just going to mute the background noise, but you guys actually are able to unmute yourselves at any point if you have questions. And then we'll have a little bit of a chat after the class as well. All right, so guys, please come up into a standing position. And I want you to stand a little bit towards the back end of your mats. Separate your feet slightly. Just let your arms relax down beside you. Lift your eye line towards the horizon, and then just take a moment to rock a little bit forwards and backwards on your feet. Just taking a moment to feel your feet underneath you, and those are your foundation. And then center yourself, and then maybe just rock a little bit from side to side. Feeling the shifting of body weight from right to left. And then come to the center and just close your eyes or soften your gaze for a moment. And bringing your awareness and your attention to your breath. And as we inhale, can you visualize that expansion, almost that stretch that you're giving yourself from the inside out? And as you exhale, can you feel the softening and the release internally? Staying here for just a few more moments. Getting a gentle awareness as you breathe and the diaphragm presses down, that there's just a gentle response of the abdominals, maybe a little bit of a release of the abdominals without pushing, and a little bit of a response with the pelvic floor, so that the pelvic floor has to also have a little bit of a release, almost like a trampoline. And we call this a diaphragmatic breath. Taking one more deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth and sigh. And then blink your eyes open. Let's start with a roll down. So we inhale, find a little bit of height through the spine. On your breath, you're just going to let your head look down and start rolling forward through your spine. And you can come all the way down towards the floor if that feels comfortable for you. If you want to stop sooner, you can do so as well. And when you reach your bottom position, just stay there for a moment. Observe how this feels on your body. Where are you feeling a stretch this morning? And then take another breath in. And exhale, up you come, using the abdominals to support you. Rooting into the heels of your feet, lifting all the way up. And take a moment to stand up straight with your eye line to the front. Roll your shoulders back and around. You guys can stay where you are. I'm just going to turn to face towards you. And letting your arms relax. Soften your knees. Take your right hand, so I'm doing a mirror image. And just let your right arm rest on top of your head here. And you're going to start letting your right hip do a little bit of a release out towards the right and then back in again. So if you've got any lower back or sacroiliac joint issues, or maybe even hip issues, then you might want to keep this a little bit smaller. Don't force it. And imagine that there is a trampoline wall next to you. And all you're doing is releasing your hip into the wall, and then the wall just gives you a little bit of a rebound back. So it's not jerky, it's not violent. It should actually feel quite soothing. And then if this is feeling good for you and you want to add on a little bit, you can start adding a curve of the spine. Connect your movement to your breath. Now, can you feel when you add that curve of the spine to the side, that your movement slows down a little bit? Because you've probably made the range a little bit bigger. So don't rush. Lean into the trampoline wall and gentle rebound back. And then if this is feeling good for you and you want to add a little bit of extra tensioning, you could now start to take that right arm. stretch, and release. So the stretching of the arm in itself isn't actually part of the lateral line. The arm lines have its own thing happening, and we're going to be doing that in one of the next classes. But what it is doing is adding tensioning. Stay with your breath. We're just going to take a few more. Last one. And releasing the arm down. Stay here for a moment, and once again, just close your eyes. How does the right side of your body feel right now in comparison to the left? Has there been a shift for you? When you're ready, blinking your eyes open, and you're going to take your left hand, rest it on top of your head, and we start taking the left hip out to the side and releasing back in. All right, so for people that have lower back or sacroiliac joint issues, we keep this small and contained. For people that want an extra stretch, you could straighten both your knees, so you're adding a little bit of tensioning. Or what some people do is they keep the outside leg straight and they bend the other leg, because that also increases the range. So depending on what's happening with your fascial lines here and your body, you can kind of explore that range for yourself. Stay with your breath. And then when you're ready, let's start to add a little bit of lateral flexion of the spine. So now we're starting to incorporate the whole lateral line, coming all the way from the ribs down towards the outside ankle. Remember not to rush. You don't have to go at the same pace as me. So figure out your rhythm. And then if it's feeling good and you want to add tensioning, you take the left arm. Taking just a few more. And on this last one, bring your arm all the way down beside you. And then just pause for a moment, and once again, just allow your eyes to soften or perhaps close your eyes and observe how that left side feels now. When you're ready, blinking eyes open, take another inhale, and on your breath, look down and just start folding over. Just find the weight of your crown, the weight of your arms, coming as low down towards the floor as you feel comfortable. And then stay there for a moment and just observe how this feels. Because oftentimes when we release the lateral line, all of a sudden this whole back line has more space and freedom. And now you're going to bend your knees enough that you can put your hands to the floor and start coming all the way down onto all fours. And then take a moment to set yourself up. Get your wrists in a happy place, middle finger pointing forward, and spread the other fingers out. Get your knees in a happy place, and then pause here for a moment and close your eyes. And just observe where your body weight is on your wrists and hands. And we want the majority, 70% of the weight on the thumb and the index finger. So if you feel that you're rolling to the baby finger, then what adjustments do you need to make to accommodate your body? Open your eyes. Let's start to move into a cat stretch. Start by curling the tail under and feeling the wave traveling up through the spine, pressing away from the hands and tucking the chin in. And then releasing, taking the tail out. And you can either come to neutral, or if your spine is ready for it, You can come towards a little bit of an extension. And again, using your breath. So in Pilates, we call this the full cat stretch. And in yoga, they call it the cat-cow. So regardless of what you call it, this is quite a wonderful movement for the spine to start to mobilize in flexion and extension. And we're just going to take one more round. And then rounding your spine one last time, because I do kind of think most of us need this little bit of a stretch between the shoulder blades and the lower back. And then return yourself to a neutral position and stay here. Start to wag your tail from side to side. So this is lateral flexion of the lumbar spine. But you can feel now, because we've changed our relationship to gravity, we're on all fours. This is no longer so much about releasing the lateral lines like we did a second ago. This is now about shortening those lateral lines. And on your own body, do you have equal movement on both sides, or does one side feel easier for you? Maybe one side feels tighter. Just notice. And then if it's feeling all right for you, you could add a look over your shoulder to see if you can find your tail. Look over the shoulder. So now you're going to be bringing in a little bit of the upper portion of the lateral lines. Can you feel the side of your neck? Can you feel the ribs? And let's just take a few more. And come back to the center, open your knees, big toes together, sit back, and just for a moment, take the pressure off your wrists. Walk your hands together and put your hands together in a prayer position, and then bend your elbows and place your hands behind your head. And we're just going to stay in this resting position for a moment. If you need any kind of padding underneath the knees or underneath the hips, feel free to do so. And we're going to give a little bit of awareness to our pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor basically controls our bladder and our bowel movements. So we're going to start with the back pelvic floor. And the image I want you to think is, I will not pass wind. And it's internal connection, so we shouldn't see anything moving from the outside. So take a nice easy breath in through the nose. And we start breathing out and seeing if you can squeeze the back pelvic floor. I will not pass wind. Can you find a connection? And then just allow yourself to relax again. Take another breath. And exhale, squeezing back pelvic floor. Keep squeezing, keep breathing, and relax. One more time, taking a breath in. And exhale, squeeze. I will not pass wind. Keep squeezing and relax. And now we're going to move to the front pelvic floor, and that controls the bladder. And now I want you to think, I will not wee. And again, it's internal connections. Take a breath. Start breathing out. I will not wee. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And relax. Take another breath in. Start breathing out. Can you find the front pelvic floor, and how strong does it feel for you? And relax. One more time. Take a breath in. And exhale, squeeze. I will not wee. Keep squeezing it. Keep breathing. And relax. And now stretch the hands out. And as you pull yourself back up onto all fours, you don't have to consciously engage the pelvic floor, unless, of course, you have pelvic floor issues. The pelvic floor is going to just do what it naturally needs to do here. So now, getting your wrists in a comfortable position again, I want you to tuck your toes under, and we're going to do a little bit of weight bearing on our hands and on our feet. So on your next breath, push push into the hands and the feet and just see if you can lift your knees up off the ground. Keep reaching forward through the crown of the head and backwards through the tailbone. Make sure that your head is still in line with your spine, so you're not letting your face drop down towards the ground. Staying here for another 3, 2, 1. Release the knees, release the feet. And now simply hinge your hips back. And you're not going to go all the way back, just enough to take the pressure off your wrists, and then push up onto the tips of the fingers. So those of you that just did the last series with me, we did the same release. And it's just a little bit of a way to take a break off the wrists and all the weight-bearing work, because that's one of the areas that a lot of clients struggle with, especially women. And then placing the hands down, spreading the fingers out, and bringing yourself forward. Now, we're going to do a little bit of a challenge here. Tuck your toes under. Start pushing into your hands and into your feet and hover. Move your right hand to the middle of your mat under your face. Start pivoting your feet, your knees, and your hips towards the left side so you can balance on the right hand and bring the left hand up. Hold it there. You are engaging the lateral lines underneath you. Now, lower your hips to the ground, so you're going to be sitting sideways, and then just stay there for a moment. Make any adjustments that you need to your hand and arm position, your leg position. Take your left hand, put it on your rib cage, keeping the right elbow straight. Just start to relax the shoulder and then press away again and again. So as you relax the shoulder, we're actually moving the scapula on the back of the body. So again, that is actually part of the arm lines. But can you also start to feel an awareness of what's happening to the right side body here? So the right side body is working eccentrically and then concentrically as you press away. It's providing some support for you. And press. We're going to do just one more time. Release and press. And then hold on to the side of your leg. You might have to pull your legs in a bit closer and bring that right arm all the way up and over. Turn your head to look down. So now you've actually released that right lateral line, especially when you add the twist of the neck. Taking one more breath in and out. And then bring your eye line to the front, bringing the hand down. You're going to place that hand securely to the ground. And now squeeze the legs together. Arm comes up. Lift your hips up. Test the weight bearing on your hand. Press your feet into the ground and lift your knees up. And then look down and start to pivot yourself back onto all fours. Lower your knees. Release the feet. Move your hips back a little bit, just taking the weight off your wrist, and then push up onto the tips of your fingers again. Place your hands flat, spread the fingers out, bring your shoulders forward. Guys, we're doing the other side. I'm gonna have my back to you now so that you can actually see what I'm doing from the back. Tuck your toes, pushing into the hands and feet, and lift your knees up. You're going to move your left hand under your face, pivot the feet, the knees, the shoulders, balance on that left hand, and bringing the right hand up. You are engaging the left lateral line. And then lower your hips and your knees to come into a side sitting position. Take your right hand, place it underneath your rib cage, and now just allow your shoulder to hunch up and press away again. And again, let it hunch and press away. So, allowing the scapula to move, and then feel with your right hand the connections into the intercostals, into the serratus anterior, into the obliques. Press up and hold it. Take your right hand, holding onto the outside of the leg. Left hand comes up as you stretch over. Turn your head to look down, finding the release around the neck, finding that stretch and opening along the left lateral line. Bring your eye line up, placing your left hand down. Make any adjustments that you need. On your breath, lift the right arm and lift your hips off the ground. Now squeeze your legs, push your feet into the floor and lift your knees up. Look down, pivot yourself all the way back around and lower your knees. Relax the feet out, sit back part way, push up onto the tips of the fingers, giving yourself just a little bit of a stretch and a release here. And then spread the fingers out and coming onto all fours. So we're going to take the left leg first. Stretch it back and then pick up the leg, holding it here. And I want you to flex the back foot and push out through the heel of the foot. Close your eyes and start to connect into the gluteus maximus. And don't forget that this is part of your lateral line or the gluteals. Stay with your breath, reaching through the crown of your head. And now open your eyes and start to circle your leg around to the left and put your foot down on the floor. So I'm going to turn to face you and we can do mirror image. So you've got your foot flat down. Now stay here for a moment and feel what's happening with your hip. Do you need to make an adjustment with your leg position so that feels okay for your hip and for your knee? Lengthen your spine, start moving your hips backwards and forwards. So this is the little bit of trampolining movement that we do with fascia that creates elasticity. And can you feel that release that's taking place on your left inner thigh? So this again is part of that deep front line. Let's just take a few more. Keep breathing. Now on this last one, go halfway back and stay there. Round your spine like a cat. Push up onto the tips of the fingers. Drag your fingers towards you on the floor. Roll upright and spread your wings wide. Placing your left hand on your left leg. Right hand comes up. Start leaning over towards the left. And now hold it here and let's create that little trampolining movement. Last two. And releasing all the way up. Turn the palms of your hands to face up. And now slide your body over towards your right. And bring yourself back in. So as you slide over towards the right, can you feel how the obliques are having to connect? So we are creating some connection to our lateral line. And at the same time, finding that balance, that connection to our core with that deep front line. Now slide over towards the right and stay here. If you would like to challenge yourself, why don't you bring the arms towards each other and then open the arms wide. And again, lifting arms. And release. So you can feel as you move the levers away that it adds a tensioning to that lateral line. And release one more time. And release. Coming all the way up. Bring both hands up. Turn the palms forward. Round the spine. And then placing your fingertips lightly to the ground. Walk your hands forward. Lengthen your spine just one more time. Lift the leg up. Circle your leg all the way around to the back. And bringing the knee in. Take a moment to set yourself up. I'm going to turn around so that I can do the other side without hitting the wall. And you're going to take your right leg, extend it back, lift your leg up and hold it there. Flex your foot, and if you can, close your eyes, keeping your balance and bringing your awareness to gluteus maximus. Keep pressing energy through the heel of the foot and energy through your crown. Open your eyes. Start to circle that leg all the way around, over to the side and place the foot flat. So again, I'm going to turn so I can do facing towards you. And then lengthen your spine. Pause for a moment. Make sure that your knee, your ankle, your hip feel good. And we start releasing back and forward. Notice how this side feels in comparison to the first side. Last two. Bring yourself halfway back and stay. Round your spine like a cat. Push up onto the tips of the fingers. Find your core connection. Slide your fingertips towards you. Spread your wings wide. Right hand to leg. Left arm over. Leaning over towards the side. Pause. And we add a gentle trampolining. Finding the elasticity along that lateral line. Last two. And come all the way up. Turning the palms of your hands up. We slide over towards the left. And we draw back to the center. Slide towards the left. Taking just a few more. On this last one, lean to the side and stay there. Now you can hold it, or you can bring the arms up, creating tensioning on the line, and then open your arms wide. And again. And open. Noticing your connection to the obliques. Noticing your connection to that deep midline. One more time. And open. Bring yourself all the way back. Bring your hands up. Turn the palms forward. Rounding your spine, coming all the way over. Imagine a waterfall cascading. Walk your hands out. Lengthening the spine. And you're going to lift your leg. Sweep it around to the back behind you. And then bringing the knee all the way in. From here, turn to lie on your side, on your left side, and extending both legs out nice and long, chin up, shoulders down, fingertips resting lightly on the ground. And you want to take a moment to stack your hips. Find the long straight line of your body. You can point the toes or flex, and find a gentle engaging into the underneath oblique. So on your next breath, you're going to lift both legs up, shortening into the oblique. Stay there. The bottom leg goes down and up. There's the adductor connection. Stay there. The top leg goes up, not too high because you're in parallel. There's gluteus medius, and take it down. And then you lower both legs to the floor. And again, lifting both legs, obliques, lateral line. Bottom leg goes down and up. Adductors, deep front line. Top leg lifts, gluteus medius, lateral line. And then lower both legs down. And again, lift, bottom leg, down and up. Top leg, up and down. And you lower both legs. And we go 2 more rounds. Both legs up. Bottom leg down and up. And it's quite nice to feel those inner thighs, especially after we just did that release right now. Oftentimes you might feel the muscles working more because you did that release. Last one. Both legs up. Bottom leg down and up. Top leg up and down. Stay here. Isometric hold. Squeeze the inner thighs, connect the obliques. Can you pick up the top arm? Take a breath in and exhale, releasing everything down. Nicely done. Press yourself up. Pivot yourselves onto your bottoms and just balance in the air for a moment, tucking yourself into a tight little ball shape. And if you want an extra little challenge, you could close your eyes here. It's quite a great way to be able to feel how your deep midline is constantly adjusting, connecting, refining in order to help you keep your balance. And then if your eyes are closed, you can open them and swing your feet to the other side so you can now lie on that right side. Make a little pillow with the underneath arm. Chin up, shoulders down, hips stacked, fingertips light on the ground, and the underneath oblique is connected. On your breath, both legs come up. Stay there. The bottom leg comes down and up. And then the top legs come up and down. And then everything lowers. And again, lifting both legs. Bottom leg down. Squeeze up. Be conscious of the inner thighs connecting. Top leg up and down. Gluteus medius connecting. Hold. And everything lowers. And again, lifting your legs, finding the shortening through the obliques. Lower and lift the bottom leg. Keep reaching through your crown. Top leg up and down. And then both legs release. 2 more rounds. Both legs lift. Bottom leg down and up. Top leg up and down. And release. 1 more time, guys. And legs lift together. Bottom leg. And squeeze. Top leg. and hold. Now stay there, test your balance, bringing the top arm up, take a breath in, and everything releases. Exactly as you are, turn onto your backs. So you're going to have your knees bent, separate your knees and feet slightly, arms down beside you, and we're going to go up into a pelvic curl. So take an inhale. On your breath, tilt your hips, rolling up towards the sky. Pause there for a moment. Just notice where it's working on your body. And then ripple down through the spine. Make it a soft, easy, melting movement. And release. Do you need to adjust your positioning in any way? And let's go again. Tilting your hips. Rolling up. And just pause here for a moment. So we're going to do a little bit of tactile cueing because it does help. Take your hands and cup your bum cheeks, but you're not holding yourself up. You're just feeling that the muscles are doing something. Start to put some pressure onto the right leg, and immediately you should feel the right gluteals start to fire up a little bit more. So start to put a little bit more pressure onto the right leg, and if you're able, pick up the left knee and hold it in the air. We stay here for 5. At any point, if you need to put your foot down, do so. 2, 1. And placing the foot down. Take a moment to stabilize in the center. Start to put a little bit of body weight onto the left leg and give yourself an opportunity to fire up the left gluteal. Put a little bit more pressure and decide, am I able to pick up the right leg? And if you are, you pick it up and we stay there. 5. If you're not able to pick it up, you just keep putting pressure onto the left foot. And placing the right foot down, stabilize, put your hands to the floor, and start to ripple down through the spine, and release. Just for a moment, let your knees open out to the side, placing the soles of your feet together, and then just let one hand rest on your belly and let the other hand rest over your heart space. And feel free to close your eyes or soften your gaze and let your breathing slow down for a moment. And start to just notice what a beautiful release and opening this is for the entire deep midline of our bodies, releasing the inner thighs, finding some softness through the pelvic floor. And as you breathe, feeling that soft lift and lower of your belly and your ribs. Finding a release through the neck, and if you want to increase this release, you could perhaps roll your head back slightly. You don't want to feel that you're straining, but as soon as you take your head back, you actually start to stretch and open the front of the throat. And then what you could do, it looks a little bit like a guppy fish, is you do a little bit of an opening and closing of your mouth and lips. And that starts to work into those deep neck and throat muscles. And then let your lips be soft. Start to roll your chin in, getting a little bit of a stretch at the back of the neck. And then let your hands settle to the sides of you. Open your eyes, bringing your legs up. Help yourself if you need some help to lift the legs up. And then squeeze your knees and your feet together, because we're going to go up into that pelvic curl again, but this time with the legs adducted. So you're going to feel the inner thighs here. So take a breath in. On your breath out, tilt the hips. Start rolling up. Now what you will probably notice is with the legs together, you're not able to come up as high, which is fine. Don't force it. I don't want it in your lower back. I want you to feel the inner thighs and the gluteus maximus and the hamstrings. Take a little breath. And exhale, roll down. A little bit of an imprint. And release. And we go again. Tilt of the hips. Squeezing the legs together as much as you can manage. And depending on your leg alignment, you may not actually be able to have your feet together, by the way. Some people's knees bash too much. So make the adjustments that you need, but I want you to feel the inner thigh connections. And release. And we're going to take just one more time. Tilting hips. Rolling up. Gluteals working, inner thighs working. And then slowly ripple down through the spine. And release at the end. Now, walk your feet nice and wide. You can pretty much go to the outer edges of your mats. Bring your hands slightly out with the palms facing upwards to open the chest. And starting quite small, just start to roll both your knees to the right and then roll both your knees over to the left. So I'm hitting the wall here, so I'm not going into a full rotation on that side. But you can just move slowly. And then bring both your knees over to the right. And stay there for a moment. And you can turn your head and look over towards the left. And I would like you to squeeze your left bum cheek, your left gluteal. And when you do that, just notice how it increases the stretch on the front of the hip. That is the TFL, which is part of the lateral line. You might even feel like a little bit of a stretch down the ITB on the side of the leg if you're tight. And if you're tight in the hip flexor, you might feel a stretch in the hip flexor muscle on the left, which is part of the deep midline. So just allow yourself to bring your awareness to the release along that left hip. Nice, easy breath. And then relax the left bum cheek. And roll your legs through the center. And now you're going to roll your legs over to the left side. Let yourself settle there. Look over your right shoulder. And then start to squeeze your right bum cheek. And notice now how it feels on this side. Do you feel it along the ITB? Is it more along the TFL? Is it more into the hip flexor? Stay there for just a few more moments. And then on your next breath, relax your right bum and roll both your legs back up to the center. Now, stay here in the middle. Your legs are wide apart. You still have your knees bent. We're going to do another pelvic curl set here with the legs wide. Arms beside you. On your breath, tilt your hips. Rolling up. And with the legs abducted now, it's bringing more awareness to the lateral lines of the body again. You might even feel the gluteus medius working a bit harder. If you're tight in your ITB, this might be an easier position for you because there's less pull on the knee, right? And then come down through the spine, softening from the back of the throat, over the lungs and the heart, softening the belly, and allowing your pelvis to release. And let's do that 2 more times. Tilting hips. Coming up into a bridge. Stay here for a moment. Inhale. And use your breath to carry you down. Imprint and release. And this is the last one. And rolling up. Hold it at the top for a moment, breathing in. And then exhale. Down through the spine. And release. Good. Take your legs, stretch them out long. I want you to squeeze the inner thighs together. You can point or flex, it's going to be up to you. Bring your hands just up above your shoulders, and we're going to be doing one roll up here. But what I want you to focus on is squeezing your inner thighs. It's going to connect to that whole core through your body. Lift your head. Breathe. Inner thighs, pelvic floor, diaphragm, up into the back of the throat. Take a little breath. And then exhale, roll up into a sitting position, lifting up nice and tall, and the arms relax down, nicely done. So what we're going to be doing now is called a dragonfly, a lateral dragonfly. I'm going to move back a little bit so you guys can hopefully see. Bring your legs out to the side as wide as your flexibility allows. So there's a couple of things here, guys. You don't have to take your legs too wide. You don't have to straighten the knees. You can bend them. Plus, you could sit on a pillow if you needed to. So just lift your toes gently. Make sure that the knees are not rolling in or out. And let's do just a little bit of our seaweed action from side to side. Start small. And then you can explore the movement here. But what I want you to focus on is that you're not lifting up your sit bones. So when you lean over towards the right, for example, you've got to keep the left bum bone down. When you lean over to the left, you've got to keep the right bum bone down. And we're just going to take a few more just to mobilize the spine. And now what I'd like you to do is to bring your right elbow onto your thigh, sort of just above the knee. And then you can either make a fist or an open hand and just let your head rest into it. And if this is too much of a stretch for your spine, then put a little block or a cushion or a towel under your elbow and see if you can open up across the chest and the heart. So in other words, your shoulders and your hips are still facing the front, and you've still got your sit bones down so that you're not rolling. Now, if you want to increase this, why don't you pick up your left hand and you could just let your arm rest on top of your head. Now, for a lot of people, that added weight is just a little bit too much. So then just bring your arm back down again. That's no big deal. So this is a lateral dragonfly, and this is wonderful for, first of all, releasing the inner thighs because we're sitting in a straddle, but also opening up the side body. And we literally are just going to stay here for another 8 breaths in and out. And if you notice that this becomes very easy for you, if you're super flexible, maybe what you want to try is bringing the right elbow down onto the floor in front of the knee. So it becomes a very intense stretch. So it's not about pushing it, it's about softening and releasing into it. So a lot of what we've done so far has been training elasticity. So we've added trampolining movements. And now what we're doing is training plasticity. And this is basically sustained stretches, or if you've done yin yoga before, this is yin yoga. And we're not going to hold it as long as we might in yin. You can stay here for like 5 minutes in yin if you want to. But it's an opportunity to let your body take on a new shape, to let your fascia take on a new shape. We've got another 3 breaths in and out. No forcing. finding a gentle discomfort that you can still breathe into. And we're going to start to slowly remove ourselves. Don't just come out of it. First of all, bring your arm down if your arm was above your head. And then slowly lift your head off your hand. Help yourself come all the way upright. And then just settle in the center for a moment. Notice how it feels. And then start leaning over towards the left. So again, finding the position of your elbow, letting your head rest either onto a fist or an open hand. And then stay there for a moment and open up your heart. Squaring your shoulders, taking a moment to just feel like you still have your pelvis heavy on the floor. And if you want to add, you can start to lift the right arm overhead and just letting the weight of the arm open up the lateral lines here. So this should not be painful, guys. You should just be working maybe 40 or 50% of your effort. And it's a space where you can stay, you can breathe, you can soften and release into the discomfort. 8 more breaths in and out, slow, gentle breathing. Feeling the weight of your sit bones. Letting your muscles be completely at ease. Two more breaths in and out. And taking yourself out of this position gently and easily. No rush. Making your way slowly upright. And then just pause here for a moment. Take your hands behind your knees. Help yourself bend the knees gently, bringing them in front of you, feet on the ground. And just take a moment to wrap yourself into a tight little ball shape. Stay here for a second. Feeling the breath move across the back of your ribs, the back of your heart. And then unravel, coming all the way upright. And make your way slowly into a standing position. And you can stand facing any direction that you choose. Take a look at your feet, big toes in line. And just take a moment to rock gently forwards and backwards. Giving yourself a moment to connect into your feet. And then center yourself and maybe just shift a little bit from side to side now. And then standing evenly on both your feet, close your eyes. Taking a moment to find an awareness of the right side body and the left side body. Taking a moment to find an awareness of the deep front line of your body, your core. And just take one easy breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and sigh. Blink your eyes open. Taking both arms, reaching them all the way up, connecting the tips of the fingers to each other. And exhale, open your arms nice and wide. Roll the shoulders back and around. Beautiful job, guys. Thank you very much. I hope everybody feels good. If you've got any questions or comments, you're more than welcome to